Let me make sure it's up and running perfectly before I start ranting away. Give me 1 second, guys. How you guys been, though? Caught a banger last night, guys. We're going to talk about it right now. Let me make sure it's up and running. Oh, no, you guys are going to hear this for a second. Start ranting away. Give me 1 second, guys. How you guys been, though? Caught a banger last night, guys. Okay. Screen's way too big. Give me a second, guys. We're going to talk about it right now. Hold on. Making sure everything's straight on YouTube. All right. We'll do it there. So, let's get into this. 1, 2. Oh, fuck. I think I just fucked up my camera. No, we're good. All right. Let's throw up the screen share, guys. Bada bing, bada boom. How we doing? Will the camera work here? Oh, that'd be horrible if it didn't work on here. No way, because it's on YouTube. That's actually like borderline horrible. You guys can't see me, huh? Wow, that's ridiculous. Yo, what's up, guys? Hold on. Wow, that's stupid. What if I use this one? Wow. All right, looks like we're gonna have no video today, guys, just because we are live in the YouTube. But I don't like that, honestly. Like, that actually kind of bothers me. I don't know if it was working for the other people, but it's not working for me. It's weird because I think that it works on Mac for some reason, but it just doesn't work here. But again, you guys can still hear me, so if you guys want to see this face, you can go to YouTube or something like that, you know. Yo, back again, you a machine. Hello. Yeah, guys, we caught a fucking crazy trade yesterday. I told you guys we were going to sell off. I did end up shooting again. You guys know that we did end up taking this first initial loss. Rather not see you anyway, boy. George, I'm going to take that funded account away from you. So again, we did initially end up coming down. We took a break of this low. We had stops above these highs, and we did get wicked out, guys. But I did tell you before I ended stream, I was going to shoot again. The reason being is because we never made a new high here. We never changed character. We never broke structure, or whatever you want to call it. We just kind of got treated as liquidity. We came up, got swept, and that was that, right? So again, I told you guys I was going to enter again as we got a break at this low. It looked beautiful, especially the 4 hour. The 4 hours really tipped me over as far as seeing all this rejections, all this like consolidation or like exhaustion of price. Told me we were most likely going to see that sell off. We hit that 1 to 2 perfectly. I made back all my loss and more. Honestly, did fairly well. I may have risked a little bit more on accident. When I was on my broker, I thought this was my stop loss when this should have been. So it kind of upped my risk, but it is what it is. You know, I can't complain. But today, let's talk about today. So we caught that one yesterday. Great way to start the week, but I'm just not liking it today. The reason I don't like it is, well, first things first, if you guys remember, yesterday's bias was to facilitate the pullback of this 15-minute leg. What did it do? It facilitated the pullback of that 15-minute leg. It did exactly what I intended it to do. So give me 1 second. All right. So after seeing that, that's probably why price ended up projecting up. Quite honestly, the reason. Now I can expect price to most likely continue higher, but I just don't like playing within the structure here where we saw this nasty top wick. Like, if I would enter buys here, I would have to enter to break these highs. And if not, I wouldn't be following my plan. Simple as that. So it's just something that I think, being that we did end up winning yesterday, we had the loss and then the win definitely covered everything and gave us a little bit on top. There's really no reason to trade today, especially because also DAX is just not looking the best, where we are seemingly following this 1 hour direction where we came down, had to pull back, and are seemingly going higher. So what can we expect? Obviously, to see these highs being taken. I just don't like to continue to buy in these scenarios. I don't. It's just not my thing. We'll look at NQ right now. just because, again, like we're overextended, we never know when we're going to see a pullback. Honestly, I could see a pullback happening now. The reason I say that is because we barely broke structure here, but we still broke structure. We closed beneath that low, barely, but we still closed enough. And honestly, if we did see price end up selling off here, I mean, we could end up taking sells. We really could. And the reason I could say that is because, again, we are playing within this massive bullish leg here. Even if we played from a 30-minute standpoint, just within like this last push, we can target this imbalance and this equilibrium down here. So this is definitely something we could shoot for. But, okay. I caught the sells on new camera yesterday. We straight in the buys aiming for. Let's go, George. All right, so NQ did end up coming up a little bit higher. Okay, we did have this like fair value gap that I guess got inversed. I could expect price to potentially go higher, but the reason I'm kind of anticipating sells is to see price like fill this gap before going higher. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily have to happen. The 1 hour doesn't look the best. The 15 minutes bearish. Bearish within 15. Honestly, I'm looking for, I'd look for sells here. Sells look fairly good. I can't lie. We facilitated the pullback on the 15 minute, created this new 5 minute internal bearish leg where if we drew up the fib just to kind of get an accurate levels, we're having a really nice rejection. Like if London was already open, we could have potentially taken, nah, the 1 minute doesn't look that good. So we're getting a nice rejection here. If we do end up seeing price starting to sell off on the 1 minute, I will look for a 1 minute structural sell, which it would be a break of this low. Once it broke this low, wait for the pullback, and then we shoot lower. Hold on, guys. So I think yesterday, again, we didn't get no trades on NQ, but that's fine. Change that shit off. All right. Let me set up, guys. But if you guys are watching from YouTube, don't forget that you guys can also watch on Discord with less latency, so less delay, if that's something you guys want to do. But again, you guys can also, like I always tell you guys my setup beforehand, so you guys always kind of know what I'm looking for. There is some cases where I'm entering like right away, but in most cases you have the understanding of my bias and you can just kind of follow along with that. Let's do it, crew. Are you on YouTube live too? I am, Alvin. What is US 100 on Legacy? You mean UK 100? Or US 100? Like NASDAQ. US 100 is NQ. NQ or MNQ. So this is where I have MNQ. As you can see, this is NASDAQ. See what the 5 minute does. Again, we could flip trend. Like one thing is too, like I told you guys yesterday, like I didn't want to take buys yesterday because we overall looked more bearish for sells and it was over here. And we did end up selling off. So I'm glad I just kind of stayed out of the markets yesterday because it would have probably went south. But let's go back to here where, again, like if we do end up going a little bit more bullish within this leg, I'm just going to let it do its thing. And I'm probably not going to take buys just because of the fact that we are bullish within that 15-minute internal trend, and we do have room to facilitate a pullback on these higher time frames. So that's where I'm kind of getting the bias as far as expecting price to have it sell off. It could just be coming a little bit deeper within the 5 minute before it does end up dipping down. But again, like I said, it could even break those highs, but still stay within that 15-minute bearish trend and still look to continue lower. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, Alvin, I'm live on YouTube. It's just the latency is not as good as Discord, you know. But again, I'm contemplating DAX. Also due to the fact that we have like this imbalance that we could rebalance before we continue higher. That's definitely a situation we could have. Jocko. Fire, what is this all from? Win streak, love that. Did you catch UK 100 sales last night? I like that Tokyo highs got taken too on this potential sell here. There is obviously some risk involved here where we could see price come down, take Tokyo lows, and then continue with that overall swing bullish trend into these highs. But I'm almost tempted to still take this just because of the fact that we are pretty overextended. Like from an hourly standpoint, too, like we have not facilitated any type of pullback. So I think I'd shoot here. And again, like we're up fairly well for the month so far, to the point where again, like we could take that loss and still be way solid. But honestly, I'm going to shoot because it's the setup. Obviously I'm not in yet, but like when it breaks that level. Okay. We'll see. Again, like the reason I say there's risk involved is because we have this internal bullish leg, and it could like have that type of reaction. But take a break of these lows down here. Let me join on YouTube too. Fire G. I just hate the fact that it's weird. Like on MacBook, it's so fine. Like I'm pretty sure you can go live on YouTube and you can turn your camera on Discord, but for Windows, you can't. It actually got me fucked up. How's your guys' week been so far, though? It's only the second trading day, you know, but fuck it, we ball. All right, let's go back to NQ, see what's going on over here. Hi, sir. How you doing? How you doing in YouTube? Let's run it. Still need to see a nice rejection, guys. Actually, we had a break and retest there. So even if we see another break here, then we could play this low for our break. But as of right now, we were just waiting on this low. Hold on, I can't read your message. I have purchased 50K count legacy funded. How much I have to risk per trade? Per trade, it doesn't necessarily matter. There's just a daily drawdown limit and a max drawdown limit. So I'd say go read the rules. I can, after market opens, I'll send you a link to all the rules. Or you can just go to the Legacy website, scroll to the very bottom, and it says FAQs. All you have to do is press FAQs, and it'll take you straight there. There's every question that you may have is right there. All right, guys, I'm curious to see what happens on NQ. We could end up pushing bullish, which is totally fine. Looks like we are going to close above this high. So we are trending bullish, but honestly, I don't mind that because since we're trending bullish, if we were to change character, it actually gives me more confidence in the fact that we'll most likely remain bearish. But again, that's if price does come down. So we'll see what happens here shortly. I mean, actually, hold on. Did we break this high? Barely. It's a very strong bullish candle, guys. Very strong. And there's really like, since we're still within this 15-minute bearish leg, like I guess we could buy up into some area within up here, but that's just where we are playing it a little bit risky too. Can't lie to you. All right, DAX haven't given us anything yet. If it's going to go bullish, it's going to go bullish from here, guys. 100%. Just because, again, we've come deep enough within this internal bullish leg that we should send higher. And if not, again, I'll probably end up taking those sells to the downside. UK 100 looks swampy. I'm not fucking with that. All right, guys, so something I realized on NASDAQ is, yes, we're bearish within the 15-minute. And yes, we created like this internal bearish leg here. But if we look a little bit to the left right here, this high should have been held as it broke structure. And we barely broke these highs like right here. Like, I mean, barely broke them. But nonetheless, we still broke them. And I guess that could be a change of character. And this could have just been this internal bearish pullback before the continuation. But I'm just very keen on sells here, even though that last hourly candle was pretty fucking nasty. I do think, especially from a 4-hour perspective, we will see sells down into this area to rebalance. We could be seeing them soon. I will take these potentially just because the 15-minute is bearish. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Enki's selling off now. Yes, sir. Just kind of waiting. Looks like we are probably going to get the closure. I think we did. We need to have another closure below it. And then again, we could look for, but I need to see a closure beneath that low. We didn't. We just wicked it. If we just continue to wick it, I won't take this trade, guys. So I'm just trying to look at structure. Excuse me. Like, the way price looks here is this really could have been a liquidity sweep. It's just a singular candle. It's not a significant break, but it's still a decent break. Oh shit, guys, I'm in DAX, by the way, at a limit. First TP 101. We'll take partials. Again, I want to see price close beneath that low. That'd be optimal. If not, we're probably going to get fucked on this trade. But again, we've been doing really good, so I really could care less if we take a loss there. Let's see if we got confirmation here. Yeah, we closed beneath the low. Again, we could be taking these sells too. Just be ready. Again, we can take it off the 50% here once price comes into that area. But keep in mind that we need a rejection. We need a good reaction candle. Not only that, we need... it'd be more optimal to see price fill in this entire range of imbalance and come a little bit higher. All right, DAX closed beneath those lows. Beautiful. Let's see what happens on this candle. If we get a reaction, I will shoot at the break. So we're kind of seeing that now. No rejection. Just kind of flying through. That's fine. Even if we get it suck if we have to play this rejection candle. But again, like if price does end up rejecting this hard, like it still looks good. It's just with our 10-point stop loss is like we are more subject to being taken out because it's actually not too bad. Now we see the same break of a candle low, guys. I'd prefer to see a second reaction and a second rejection to kind of confirm that price is going to hold at that level. And then once price does break this first initial rejection candle low, we're shooting. Type shit. So let's be ready for that. DAX is not looking too... That's UK100. DAX is looking all right. We closed beneath those lows, so I like that. Let's pay attention over here. It's a nice reaction. Again, I will hop in sells here as long as we get a continuous rejection of this level and then obviously some downside from there on out. But if we just kind of close like that, that kind of invalidates everything, guys. I can't lie to you. If we're going to have a back and forth game today, then it's just not worth trading it. Truly. I will let you know, Alvin. Like, there's still room to get in, I guess, if like price did still end up holding at this level and coming down to break these lows. But I just wanted a better reaction. Wanted a better reaction. I mean, again, we could end up continuing to flip bullish. Like, nothing says we can't. It's just weird structure. Like, truly within the 5 minutes since we barely broke that high there, like, technically speaking, we were within that bullish leg, but I just have a lot more downside anticipation here. Could take this. I'm gonna take a break of that low, that candle low, guys. We'll see if we get it. I'm not risking too much, guys. Just because... Alright, we're in. Let's see what happens. We have some good selling pressure. So... Again, also once we get to 101, I will be moving to break even, which just happens to be basically at those lows. But that's if. We could get fucked here, guys. If price doesn't hold here, then again, like I'll probably only take one trade today. The only reason I think we're coming up a little bit, which actually doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, is because we left some imbalance within this last minute down candle. Price could just be coming back to fill it to continue with its push. But again, we'll see. Can I explain what? Yeah, it's not going to show your drawdown in like numbers, if that's what you're saying. Like, this is my stop loss. This is my take profit. Since I got in sells, this is... Looks like we're going to get taken out right now, guys. Yeah, we got taken out. That's fine. We could have another shot here, but honestly, it is what it is. I'm still not going to complain because DAX is looking all right. And two, it's our first trade of the week. But one thing going back is I'm definitely going to keep an eye on is, are we going to continue bullish because of the fact that we barely broke this high here, even though we kind of continuously rejected this area and then had that down candle? Is that something that we needed to be more aware of before we ended up looking for entry? But again, within this 5-minute structure, we were still within that bearish leg. We had that confirmation on the 1 minute. You know, I can't be mad at this loss. I can't. And plus, it wasn't that big, so. But again, still looking at DAX. We'll see what happens here. And we'll see if we shoot again, too. Like, we can potentially shoot on buys if buys do end up presenting themselves. If price does just end up flipping trend like that, we will shoot. That's why I don't risk everything on the first account or the first trade, just because, again, like sometimes we have to shoot twice here. If we do end up breaking these highs, I probably will shoot higher here. And again, I could have just been flat out wrong in this decision here, but I was still playing this internal bearish trend with that confirmation on the 1 minute. It's just, it seems that buys were definitely the objective today. With, even though this was a barely broke here, it was still enough to now send prices to those highs. So that could have been my fault, but at the same time, I still like this. I'm just taking a screenshot for my journal. Again, guys, like win, lose, or whatever, break even, I'm always getting this into my journal. Looks like we're flipping trend. That's fine. We can clear this now. We could potentially look for price to go back up. But then here's the thing with that. Here's where it's kind of iffy. And this is where like we could have even anticipated just not trading today as a whole. Is because, yes, like the hourly looks good for potential expansion. And we definitely could. It's just this 15-minute leg is what's bothering me. Is being that we're still bearish. And we could see price get to a point where, you know, we do get entry, we don't get hit 1 to 2, and then we just see price end up selling off, which again, like even if that's the case, that's fine. But here's the thing, like if we're actually going to play it smart, this is technically the new leg we kind of have to wait for that pullback within, because again, like this is the 5-minute leg now creating a new 5-minute high. So this is the entire leg that we're technically playing within. I'm not saying that that 1 minute can't have that pullback and be rejected and see that reaction. But we'll see if price even closes above that. All right, guys, let's go over DAX. I don't like the 15-minute, but again, that's fine because the 5-minute still closed very nicely, where it kind of, not kind of, it did create that new bearish leg. So here we could just be seeing a pullback to rebalance and then that continuation back lower, where I guess like you could see a potential like another entry point if you were to like mark this leg up, wait for that pullback and wait for that second breakout. And then of course you could shoot there, but I'm already in, so there's no need. No need. Yeah, going back to what I was saying over here, like we are going to close above that 5-minute high. So now seeing that, one, it tells us our sell entry wasn't necessarily wrong. It could have just been too early in the sense that price does need to come a little bit higher within that 15-minute leg before that sell off. And two, it tells us that we could potentially catch these buys, but we just have to play it in the sense that instead of looking at this 1-minute leg, which yes, price could continue to react in that manner, it could end up just playing off this 5-minute leg and then just continuing from that on. So that's like the one fear behind it. Even though this 1-minute leg looks good, I guess if we see a reaction, I may take this 1 minute leg and kind of call the trade, but it would need to be a crazy good reaction, guys. A crazy good reaction. And the reason I'm so interested in it is because at the same time, like, we have a very nice order block down here, have a really nice imbalance. So if we came down and just smacked that and absolutely like flew off from that, then I would probably still look to enter here. Because again, even though like I'm expecting that 5 minute pullback, nothing says the 5 minute has to pull back right now. Like, we can continue trending for a while, then we could see that 5 minute pullback. We already know we're bullish. Market has basically confirmed that after we broke and made that new 5 minute high. But I think we're going to see one more shot here, guys, for buys, so stick around. We'll see. I think we will. I'm on DAX. Fire. I'm in on DAX too. We'll see how price continues to play. Again, I like that first initial break. The 15 minute didn't look the best with how it kind of wicked price. But I'm not going to trip out on that, especially because like the hourly looks good as far as seeing that previous hourly candle have a very nice top wick. I just think price does still have room to at least come down into this imbalance. But at that point, we've already taken half of our position off. We're at break even. But ultimately, price can come deeper as well. So that's where, again, we could not necessarily bet on that fact, but assume that price does have more downside potential as far as like probabilities than it does for buys here. But for NQ, guys, I am going to go over that loss. I'm not done yet, but I truly think my one mistake here was here. Even though like this was such a very small break of structure, it goes to show that it still reacted to it as a break of structure. All right, looks like we're getting that pullback. Again, what we need is a crazy strong rejection candle here. And then we will play that reaction. Tired. Honestly, don't want this candle to hit it. And I fucking ran through it. That's exactly why I didn't want it to hit it. That's fine. Sells at this, buys at this point are invalidated. As of right now, we could come a little bit deeper within 71%. We see a nasty rejection here, we will still shoot, but if not, then we can infer that price could be pulling back from that 5 minute standpoint, and we could look to still shoot off the equilibrium of these lows down here. But if price like stuttered here and shot up, at that point, like, I'm not going to enter, guys. Like, even though like my bias as of right now is not bullish, again, like what I'm primarily doing is playing the reactions off these specific discounted levels. Granted, we got the reaction here, but it looks like we're going to close beneath it here. And that just kind of gives me the idea that, okay, price, all right, that looks a lot better. I don't like how price opened like that. If this candle bottom looks again, I guess we could still take it from this level, but it would be a break of this high here. But I just have a feeling we'll kind of close beneath it. If we see a crazy reaction on 71% where we just see a nasty bottom wick back to the upside, guys, then I will take a break this candle high here. But that's if. Again, we could be avoiding and just kind of disregarding this 1 minute and now looking to trade this 5 minute. But again, like, we don't necessarily need to come deep. We could just hit 50%. There we go. Decent reaction. See how this next candle plays. It'd be nice to see a second reaction candle off of it. Let's see. All right, entries at a break of that candle. If we do break that, I will shoot here. This will be my last trade of the day. Obviously, I'm in DAX still, guys. But for NQ, if we break this high, it will be my last trade. But again, we could continue lower without even touching our entry point, which is fine because, again, like, we're aware of the fact that price did create a new 5 minute high, and we could just be playing the pullback deep within here before that expansion. And it goes to show at least our bias was correct from that 5 minute standpoint. Even though our first trade was a loss, we kind of already know where we went wrong there. And that's definitely going to be a journal point. So I'm in, guys. We'll see what happens here. Once we hit 101, I am moving to break even. Which is about right here. And then 1 to 2 at these highs. No, it just shows demo. Even when you pass it on Legacy, it still shows demo. And then with DAX, I trade my live broker. So no. Getting close to that 101. Good expansion. Once we hit 101 again, I'm break even. I'm not going to take any contracts off, guys. I'll just let price do its thing. If we get taken out of break even, then we'll take the one loss. If we do end up hit full TPs, we'll be about break even for the day, and we can call it at that. But again, like, going back to this first initial setup, I don't want to say I was necessarily wrong, but I think even though we still had the probabilities to sell off, especially with the 5 minute having this leg here, and then we had the price come up and we had that next 1 minute confirmation leg, still had probabilities to go down. But obviously it goes to show that price's objective today was bullish, and now seeing that price did end up, it barely broke structure here. We are break even. Yeah, I'm going to break even, guys. All right, break even, risk free. We're just relying on volume at this point to take over into 1 and 2. Obviously there's a potential that we get taken out of break even. The reason I say that is because the imbalance that we're leaving within here. Price could end up coming back into this imbalance and then continue with that trend. But at that point, I'm fine with that, because you guys got to remember, I play the reaction and then I rely on volume to continue with that reaction back to the upside. So but let's hopefully hit our TP2. We'll actually be up for the day. Yeah, we'll be up for the day if we do hit TP2. Boom. Let's keep pushing. Keep pushing. So hopefully make back what we lost on that first trade. What am I drinking? Water. Sorry. I didn't realize my mic's so close to me. That just sound empty? Nah. Has some ice in there and some water. Let's go volume. Just make that push. Let's take those highs. Once we hit it. All right, guys. W. I can't complain. We ended the day up. Had a double shot, but Jack needed W, so I can lay down. Well, we just had this W here, guys. Again, super simple bias here. I could truly say I think we were just. I can't say we. I was flat out wrong on these sells here, even though again, like I continuously say, we had this downtrend, or at least from this internal structure, had this pullback, or not a pullback, but then had that continuation back down. And that's where I got the overall bias from. But again, going back over it one more time, we probably should have paid more attention to the fact that even though we barely broke this here, it was significant enough for price to end up treating it as a break of structure, which I typically kind of can infer. But I just had a sell bias from like a higher time frame standpoint too. But it goes to show again, like we maybe don't even necessarily need to look at the 4 hour. You guys got to remember one thing too, is I just started trading NQ during London. I traded NQ before, but with, I think this is what, our second week trading NQ during London. Third, yeah. And again, like we've been doing fairly good. I can't lie to you. Like we're up. Sorry, that was loud. But again, like my main goal, main objective as we continue trading it, just like with anything, even like with DAX and UK 100, even though I have a lot more data on DAX and UK 100, this is definitely still, an area that I need more data on. So even like with this stuff right here, this is a good data point as far as, making sure that we are playing within that 5-minute swing structure rather than that internal structure, because that looks like what we did here is it was just this was just a pullback that was looking to lead price higher, and we got caught in that. But again, I'm glad that we still ended the day up. I'm already out, guys, so ended the day up about 300, a little bit less, which is fine. But fire. I'm glad that we got some profits back, just because of that first initial mistake. But again, we'll see what happens on DAX. It's not looking the best. And the reason I say that is just because of the 15-minute reactions. But obviously, just like yesterday and just like I think even beginning or last week, Friday, we had a situation like this too, where we sat in drawdown for a while, but then price still ended up playing out. So again, I'm not out of this trade until either my TPs are hit or my stop loss is hit, guys. I'm not going to exit early. If I take a loss there, I take a loss there. It is what it is. But UK 100 sold. Up 600 for the day. Let's go, Tev. Fire again. Maybe how much you risk for this trade? Near Raja, I risked 300. I risked 300 to make about 600. But again, we're already out. So super quick, clean move. Again, this could have been and probably should have been the only trade we took today. So we should realistically have been 600 or at least. What was that tool I used? Like the Fibonacci tool? Yeah. So I would say there's potential for another buy, but what I would wait for first is a break of structure. Like we never broke this structure here. We just kind of took these highs and liquidated them, which nothing's wrong with that, because again, the objective based off this like 1-minute trend here was these highs. Like in theory, price only needs to come past these highs. It doesn't necessarily need to close above those highs, but being that we didn't, that could mean price could look for a deeper pullback now. Because again, like one thing we have to keep in mind too is the 5-minute broke structure as well. So like when the 5-minute break structure, we also could see a pullback from a 5-minute standpoint within this 5-minute leg, and price again, it could. So I guess you could take buys still from this 5-minute standpoint, even though the 1-minute didn't break structure. You could take prices, or you could take a buy like if price has a nice reaction off equilibrium here, and then we see a nice push to the upside. You could take buys there. You could. I'm not going to take buys again. I only shoot twice, just based off my rule set. But again, like you definitely could. I would just wait for confirmation down at this 5-minute. And again, like what you're mainly looking for, especially like being I trade the 1-minute, is just that reaction, guys. Like that's what I'm looking for, is just that reaction. what did we see? We saw that reaction off the 71% where we came down, held at that level, and had a very nice top wick or bottom wick. And then again, we saw some volume step into the market. Of course, we're going to shoot there. But I could say that first trade was kind of an L trade. I can't lie to you guys. DAX needs to come back down. Again, we'll see what happens on DAX too, guys. Even if we do, how do you calculate your risk, sir? So like with calculate, it just like, obviously it depends if I'm trading NQ or MNQ. And it's based off my TP or my stop loss. So like in NQ, I always have a 10-point stop loss. So 15 contracts on MNQ is about $300 risk. There are like calculators you can use too. Like if you just look up like risk calculators or lot calculators and stuff like that. Or I think like Baby Pips has one. Like if you go here, we can, I think NASDAQ, no, there's no NASDAQ. It's not on this one. Taking more trades? Probably not. I think I'm done for the day. We profited. Can't be mad. Again, there was a lesson as far as over here that I'm definitely going to get data on. Just so that, you know, I don't necessarily, like, I don't want to necessarily call it a mistake. But I definitely think we probably should have held back on this first initial sell. And again, this goes back to even like one of the videos I just made, or like 2 videos ago. You're drinking too much. Is again, sometimes the best looking setups or setups that look good don't necessarily mean that they're actually going to play out. It doesn't mean. And that was an example of that first initial setup we had. Obviously, the second setup looked good too, and it did play out. But that's where, again, like I always say, keep the same risk. Because like, let's say I would have upped my risk here and then I would have got fucked. But I don't up my risk because, again, like keeping the same risk is very key. And when it comes to trading, successful trading, because again, like if we had to shoot twice based off the fact that, okay, we were wrong here, we know that, okay, now that price has shown its true objective, we could play that reaction if we got that reaction. And that's exactly what we did. But again, this is also like key information. Like I know sometimes like we will take these buys and price just flies and I close at 1 and 2, and a lot of times people are like, oh, like why'd you not hold, this is not, and this is a perfect example of why you don't hold sometimes, why it's more beneficial to just close at your desired area, because price isn't promised to go higher, right? It can, right? In some cases, like if we would have held partials, that would have been fine, because again, we still would have profited. Price would have gotten taken out of break even. And obviously, if there was more upside potential, we would have continued to make money. But it's not always guaranteed. But, okay, good. DAX is selling back off. All right, guys. Yeah, we already took a trade. Iconic. It was a little late. Again, I'm always live at 11:45 p.m. PST. Sometimes we get a setup right away. Sometimes we don't. But DAX looks like it's coming back down, which I like. We'll see if it does end up holding. And we'll see if we do hit our TPs. But again, like when it comes to DAX, guys, remember, like once I hit 101, I will move to break even, as well as take half of my position off to secure some profits. And then I let the rest run down into a 1 and 2. So again, like all we're mainly looking for is just that push to that 101. We'll see what happens. Again, price isn't necessarily promised. We could just continue to kind of wick here and get fucked over. But price is within like this internal bullish trend, I guess you could say, and that could be our defeat there. But even with that, like we've had a good month so far with DAX and UK 100 to where we can take this loss and we'll still be fine. Because again, we had a very nice win the other day that really got me some good profits. So we'll see what continues to happen. I'm gonna go watch it throughout the night. I got to go and do some work. I'm gonna do some journal work as well, guys. And before I even get off, I want to tell you guys too, like if you're trading with me, or even like, you know, if you have your own system, you guys should be getting data every single day. Like again, I'm gonna get data here. I'm gonna get data on this win too. How much can you trade on your legacy? What do you mean? like risk wise. How much time a day? Like how many times can you trade on it? I mean, you can trade as much as you want. Just for 100K, you just can't make more than, I believe, 1,500. That's what you're asking. Yeah. But again, like we're nowhere close to that. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to continue to trade to get to that cap. You know, it's not worth it. I'd rather take the win for today, take the profits, just because again we had that first initial loss, and then continue on with tomorrow. Again, like we didn't take a trade yesterday. This is only the second trading day of the week, so we have 3 more trading days to go. There's still a lot of potential to continue to capitalize on this week. Again, we're still up for this week. Just again, we could be up more if we didn't take this initial trade, and that's just something I'm going to journal, right? Again, there's always room for data, there's always room for refinement, especially being that we just started trading NQ during London. Again, there's a lot more room for data than there is not, so that's definitely something I'm prioritizing right now. Yeah, Jay. Even though we kind of are trending within a bullish manner here, it's either it hits my stop loss or it doesn't. Because like there was another example from last week. Where was it? It was here. Was it here? Let me find it. There was another example from last week where, was it this one? I believe it was this one. Yeah. So we took these sells last week on Thursday, where our stops are above these highs. We took a break of this low, and we did end up sitting in drawdown for a bit. And a lot of people are asking me like, oh, like, should I exit this and that, or am I going to exit? And I told them no. And the reason I tell them no is because one, again, like like with my bias being so strong for sells, price can come this high and still make it sell off. Obviously, this is just one example that I can show you right now, but there's multiple examples where, again, like closing too early could end up hurting me more than helping me. I'd rather take this loss here knowing that I was either too early in this situation or for these buys, rather than taking out right here and then price still goes my direction. Because again, like the reason I say price is more likely for sells here, even though we are extremely bullish within this leg here, what did I start to see? We started to see exhaustion at these highs where price wasn't pushing as strong. We saw a break of this low here, right here. We saw a pullback. We saw a nice reaction off of this level, and then we saw another break of structure on the 5-minute. So that gives me enough confidence, and there's enough probability sitting there that price is more likely to continue to sell off. This could just be a pullback before price continues to sell off. Therefore, I'd rather just stay in this trade, take the loss if that does come to be. And if it doesn't, then great, because again, like we'll still end up winning this trade. So that's where, again, like break even and exiting too early is like a form of like that's just more emotional trading than anything. You have to be systematic, right? It's either hits my stops, hits my TP, and that's it. Again, like if you start implementing all these other things, fear, or you think price just because it's trending bullish on the 1 minute has more potential of losing. Yes, it does. It does technically have more potential of losing at this point, but that doesn't beat the fact of the higher time frame confluences that we're looking at as far as why we expected price to continue its sell-off. But again, we'll see what happens. We could just be too early. Overall, like we expect, and I expect these highs to be taken at some point. But again, it doesn't have to be taken now, right? Just like UK 100, right? UK 100 had the same situation where we ended up having that push yesterday. We caught these sells yesterday, which was a pullback of this bullish leg. We had the continuation back higher, and realistically, in theory, price should have continued up into these highs and then eventually into these highs. But what happened? Price did end up selling off because, again, price doesn't necessarily have to facilitate or have to complete its objective today, right? It could continue to fluctuate and have these sell-offs and pullbacks before we end up seeing that major move or that final move playing out into these highs. So that's where, again, like I'd rather just wait here, take the loss if that is the case. And if we do, then again, it's just data. And the reason I say it's just data is because, again, like I'll go back and see, did I miss anything, or was there anything I could have done a little bit differently to avoid this? Truly, just based off my observations right now, no.
But again, like it could be a case where we get taken out too and price still comes their direction. It just needs more liquidity. That could be the case. Or what could have been the case is price took Tokyo highs, we came down, took Tokyo lows, and that could have been enough liquidity from like buy side to send price into another opposing area of sell side, which again, like it could be a consolidation for the rest of the day. We'll see. Gold finally sending it. Okay. See what NQ is doing. NQ is just kind of chopping around, guys. But again, guys, I'm out of here. I got to go do some journal work just to kind of get everything in the journal, make sure again, like we're always learning from these setups. And again, like I always push you guys to make sure you're learning from everything that you guys are doing. Win, lose, break even, no matter what it is. There's always room for observations, always room to make observations, even in times when you're right. I was right here, but what is my observation going to be? I was right. Price barely hit my 1 to 2 and just came right back down. It didn't go higher like it usually does. And that's information that tells me, is it worth holding longer? Because again, that's the data that I'm looking to get right now. Is in some cases it has shown that we can hold longer with partials and make extra money. In some cases it shows that we don't need to, or it's not worth it. So that's where again it comes to stacking up data for the next couple weeks, months, and then based off that data, we can go and make any appropriate changes that need to be made, obviously to help our trading. Right? Again, like there's always room for improvement, even at my level, even at Mamba's level, even at Luca's level. There's always room to adjust and see if there's any changes that need to be made, because a lot of times it could be just how the market's moving too. There could be a time of the year, let's say Q4, where you do need to make some adjustments, or you start to see trends that are happening where price is moving differently than what you are used to. Therefore, you kind of need to adjust and adapt. Right? Markets are ever changing. Not saying they are always changing, but they can change. But I'm out of here, guys. Beautiful stream, about an hour long. I appreciate you guys on YouTube. I appreciate you guys on Discord. Not a bad stream. Again, we still ended up on NQ, so I really can't complain there. And then DAX, we'll see what happens here. I am still in DAX. Is not looking the best, but again, we're going to hold it until we're either out or we win, and we'll get data off that. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, 11:45 p.m. PST. Not a bad day. I hope you guys made some money, but I'm out of here. See you guys tomorrow. You sleepy? You sleepy?